At the edge of the blotting light, colors breathe speckled. The shimmering shades of color in the shadow of nameless emotions mend the silence with vague outlines. A brightness that does not penetrate the eye with its color. A temperature that modestly nestles in, a harmony that does not flaunt its own form, but quietly focuses on it. The white of a single flower blurs in the passing wind. The orange of evening blurs on the pavement, and the veins of a leaf wet with morning dew weave an invisible luminosity. The colors that do not want to be flamboyant but know that they are certainly there are simply there as beauty that cannot be chosen. The focus is set in the space between whether or not the eye can reach it. It is not for the sake of showiness, but only for the sake of quietness and cohabitation. A color breathes silently beside the light that is slightly asleep. It is not too bright, not too dull, and not too refusing to blend in with other colors, nor is it completely dyed in. It is not too bright, not too dull, but simply there. It does not refuse to blend with other colors, but it is never completely dyed. However, if you look closely, you can see a focal point. It is not something that is too large to hold in one's hand, nor something that fits in one's palm. But the moment one's finger touches it, one suddenly feels a response of, "This is it." It is not a light that asserts itself, nor a shadow that is silenced, but the call of a moment that arises between the myriad possibilities that come and go. It is not something that is fixed, but something that changes each time we seek it, and only takes form when we lean on it. That is why we lean in. A single color, a single gaze, a single existence, not bound by each other, but not isolated either, but only in order to find the ideal form there. The focus thus created is not afraid of ambiguity, is not bound by certainty, and yet never disappears. It is a reasonable color that blends with the bundle of light, not an extreme color, but a color that maintains a vague outline and yet is surely close to it. It is neither too cold nor too hot, just a temperature that is comfortable to the fingertips, drifting as if gliding between memory and oblivion. For example, the pale wisteria of twilight, the green of young leaves wet with morning dew, or the afterglow of white sand buried in the ocean's roar. Colors have no names, but they gently come into focus on the retina of the mind, nestled among the grains of words. Not vividness, not comfort, but simply as something that nestles on the edge of existence. Affordability does not imply lightness of value. Rather, it is the subtle shadows in the margins that are the ultimate wisdom, perceived in tranquility at the back of the eye. The colors that the eye perceives are not forced, but rather naturally ooze out, gently nestle together, and calmly come into focus. The infinite gradations intersect. The mall distribution of light twists and turns, and the color blurs into an indeterminate focus. The red that sleeps is nestled in the blue. A hint of violet is filled with silence, and the shadows touched by the setting sun obscure the shape of memory. Seeing it is not about capturing, but about the touch of the margin that slips into the gap between our gazes. Beyond the contours, the focus is always wavering, leaning, shifting. In the moment of interweaving light and shadow, the affordable colors abandon their names and simply become the gradations of existence. The focal point is nothing other than the place where the will of the viewer intersects, and the colors that nestle there are clad in an illusory robe that shifts according to the temperature of the viewer's gaze. It avoids gaudiness, yet refuses monotony. The colors always stop just before their climax, whispering of equilibrium. The in-between, which is neither easy nor excessive, is the place of harmony within the reach of those who cuddle up to it. When the focus is set, the periphery becomes hazy. However, even within the haze, a faint color pulsates. As soon as you stop looking, a light dances behind your vision. It lurks at the edge of consciousness, whispering in a moment. It is clear only in a moment's focus, but changes to a different form each time your gaze wanders away. If you desire it too much, it will spill out. If you ignore it, it will fizzle out. Scoop it up just right and deposit it just right. To be close to something is not to dominate it, but to allow it to shift. But once the focus is set, the colors resonate vividly, and a landscape without a name is born. And the next moment, it disappears somewhere else, taking on a different shape and carrying a different light. The only thing that happens is that the colors blur each other's outlines without melting into other colors. In the minute fluctuations created by the interplay of light, we try to see something, but that something is constantly changing form.